We have breaking news now on President Trump's canceling of next month's big meeting with North Korean dictator Kim Jong Un. North Korean state media now reporting the regime is willing to fully resolve issues with the U.S., quote, at any time, at any format. So did the president outmaneuver the Hermit Kingdom? These new developments come after a very dramatic day where the White House claims it called everything off because of a statement the regime made that said, quote, meet us at a meeting room or encounter us at nuclear-to-nuclear showdown. Their foreign ministry even called Vice President Mike Pence a political dummy. I love that term. It's very different than dotard. Well, that didn't sit well with the president, and in what the Associated Press is calling an extraordinary letter, President Trump wrote, quote, I was very much looking forward to being there with you. Sadly, based on the tremendous anger and open hostility displayed in your most recent statement, I feel it is inappropriate at this time to have this long-planned meeting. And then this afternoon at the White House, the president warned Kim Jong Un that the U.S. military was ready to respond to any foolish or reckless acts by the North, but added that the ball is still very much in Lil Kim's court. Listen to this.
When Kim Jong Un chooses to engage in constructive dialogue and actions, I am waiting. In the meantime, our very strong sanctions, by far the strongest sanctions ever imposed, and maximum pressure campaign will continue, as it has been continuing. But no matter what happens and what we do, we will never, ever compromise the safety and security of the United States of America.
So did the North get spooked, and are they now crawling back into our arms? Let me bring in Ohio Republican Congressman Steve Chabot. He's a senior member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ken. It's great to be with you.
So what were your first thoughts when you read that letter from the president to Kim Jong Un?
Well, I think the president has done exactly the right thing. He's been called a master negotiator, and I think he's shown a lot of political savvy in the way he's handled this. He wants peace. He wants a denuclearized Korean peninsula, and I think for the first time we may be on our way to that. But he knows when you have to walk away from a deal, and that's what makes him such a good negotiator. And there's been a pattern for a long time when you deal with the North Koreans. We saw it under previous administrations, the Clinton administration, under Bush, the Obama administration. And we're seeing that to some degree now. So I would strongly urge the president, and I think he's looking at it this way, the way Ronald Reagan did when he dealt with the Soviets. Reagan used to say, trust but verify. I would advise
and we've heard that phrase a lot lately.
But verify.
That's interesting.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
You do have to modify that phrase because we're dealing with an entirely different regime at a very different point in modern history. But let's talk a little bit about the president's tone in the letter, and it seems to so far have worked. Are you surprised? We'll get to the tone in a second. Are you surprised that North Korea capitulated and made the statement that they did so quickly? And what does that say about their desperation or the situation they are in?
Well, I think the president knows that you have to be the party who wants the deal the most is oftentimes going to get the short end of the stick here, and the president realizes that, and I think the North Koreans realize that as well. And that's why it's important that we put maximum pressure on that, whether it's sanctions, working with our allies in the region and in other parts of the world. And China continues to be the key here. North Korea is really of great value to China. They basically use them as a way to annoy us, to make it challenging, to put us off balance in many ways. So we need to stand up to China as well. And we need to actually consider sanctions with respect to China if they don't get North Korea to cooperate as well.
I do share. I like that China has been ostracized in this process. And, you know, one thing I think is very evident is when China went back to North Korea, that's when the tone reshifted to something much more negative and hostile. Obviously, they are hurting in the north. The sanctions on some level are absolutely working, and the people are starving. But I think what you're seeing is people in the upper echelons of the military and in government, they're also obviously hurting, and they're putting pressure on Kim Jong Un in a way that is unknowable to us right now, but is very evident from this turnabout from them. Do you think the Singapore meeting is still going to happen in light of the strange developments we've seen today?
Well, we just don't know. It's probably likely it won't happen on September 12th now. It may be somewhere down the road. But again, we can't want this so much that they know they have us over a barrel. And I think that's what the president understands here. He's a great negotiator.
Yeah.
He's willing to take risks, and sometimes that's important in getting something that other administrations, both Republican and Democrats, have failed.
June 12th, and that is just around the corner. You said September 12th.
June 12th.
Yeah,
Excuse me, June 12th.
Yeah,
right.
and we will see. Obviously, there needs to be somewhat of a diplomatic recalibration here, and I think we're going to see that. And you're absolutely right, because obviously the Obama administration wanted the Iran deal so badly that the deal was ultimately compromised, and we don't know what the resolution for that is going to be. We're going to talk about it throughout the show, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.